everyone. You're tuned into Gila Nehemiah's Sacred Erotic Poetry, Sacred Sexuality, and Ascension podcast. Thank you for being here. If you're new, I welcome you. If you're returning, thank you for supporting me. I really appreciate you. I'd love to read your feedback. So if you would like to send any feedback, please feel free. I've been reading people's feedback in the podcast. So, this is going to be an interesting podcast as we discuss divine unity and really stepping out of fear. So, I would love for you to let's begin by taking 3 deep breaths with me. And we'll say an intention, and then we'll go into the podcast. And if you're listening, I just want to say keep listening because there's going to be some really interesting things that I'm going to be sharing today. Definitely a break from the patterns, and I feel like we need to make a lot of change. So if you are into change, definitely keep listening. Thank you. And let's take 3 deep breaths now. Want to invoke the central sun, our archangels, our brothers and sisters in Andromeda, the Andromedans, the star family, the star seeds, the Palladians, um, the deep core of Mother Earth, the connection to all of nature, and deeply the connection to our own hearts and our higher selves as it connects to the infinite oneness. Connection to this collective awakening and the truth that is unfolding before us. Thank you, Aho, and so it is. Thank you. So, what do I want to talk about today? Well, the big news is that I think this has been stirring for a while inside of me. I know many of you follow me, know that I follow the moon. I've been following the moon phases for quite a few years since I started this journey. And about a few months ago, a friend of mine shared with me some information, and it's on Gaia. If any of you are privy to the Gaia channel, and other people that I follow, Steve Noble had shared an interview as well. And I just finally was like, wait a second. Well, the moon is considered by some a natural satellite and by others an artificial satellite. I know that it affects the waters and all of that, though I have this feeling that it was stopping me from continuing on the path of divine unity. So I don't know. I just felt like over last week, I was like, okay, wait, I'm just going to disconnect from the moon. There are definitely magical powers of connecting to the moon. And, I used to do sacred moon circles and I used to, follow the new moon, the full moon. I used to do all of these rituals. And I've just felt like, as I'm stepping into divine union, I need to make a change. And I do follow the central sun, though the biggest thing that I feel like I want to share is that I follow the sun within myself. Following my own multi-dimensionality. And whatever that means at the time, that's what I do. And even if it means a complete change of what I have been doing, I welcome it. I haven't been putting my crystals out for a while. I have stopped doing release statements, and I did do some cleaning and things, but I was moving away for some time. I stopped doing circles for a while. And, I used to offer them for payments, and then I used to do them locally in my neighborhood, and I stopped all of that. I used to even offer it to my long-term clients, and I had stopped that a while ago, and I wasn't even sure why. I had made some reasons to myself, but it was also moving its way out. People weren't coming and things like that. So I felt like this is a sign for me to move into another path. So I am not going to be following the moon anymore. These podcasts won't be centering on the moon phases. It will be centering on like the solstice is coming up in mid June, and there will be definitely energies, like obviously the planets and things like that. That doesn't change, though the big change is that I'm not following the moon. And I believe that unity comes from deep within us, our energies. And the central sun is important, and it's also important for us to know what we need for ourselves. For a long time, I was into the being a divine feminine healer, and now I'm really interested in divine union. Creating balance within myself, creating balance within my clients' lives, creating balance with everyone I connect with, as well as finding balance in everything that I do. So I wanted to share that big news with you. And what does it mean to be in divine union? Like for a long time, I used to follow people who would talk about divine union, thinking that it's with a sacred partner, and it is. But it's also within ourselves. How can we have clarity if we don't have um, peace within ourselves? Essentially, that's what I feel divine union is, peace within ourselves and peace with everything that we've done. I used to think, oh, okay, I'm going to be this coach, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, leaving behind the 20 years of my work life that I'd spent so much time on and my education and things like that. And now I feel like I am definitely addressing all parts of myself and including being very inclusive of what is needed for me and my family, as well as what I need to be in service for the collective awakening and for the divine infinite one. So I feel that it's really important to understand what we need for ourselves and what really makes sense to us. And again, following another celestial body is still, outside of me. So that I feel is something important, like I'm not moving away and, replacing it with another celestial body. I'm saying that I am following my own wisdom, which I think I've always said, and I feel like I'm embodying it more. And I feel like this is really an important path for everyone to follow their own wisdom. And if something doesn't resonate anymore, it's okay to say no to that and move on to a different thing, because that if that's what they need for their highest journey, that's what's going to be shown to them, and to trust that. So getting into fear, I know many of my followers are in the United States, and I know there's a lot of things going on in the States, and it's actually rampant all over the world, with this pandemic. And we have a lot of fears. We're just socially brainwashed that way. It is a strong word, but it's true. To be fearful, like if you don't listen to me, I'm not going to pay you, or if you don't listen to me, I'm going to take something from you. If it was a parent, or if you don't listen to me in the classroom, you're going to get a bad grade. So there's always a consequence if you're not listening to somebody, you know, um, if you're not obeying, this whole sense of obedience. I know that in our anthology that is soon to be published in the near future, it's something I talk about. It's this whole like what does it mean to be a good person? Does that mean that I need to follow somebody? And I would have to say no. I think we're taught to do that. We're taught to say, oh, you must follow this rule, follow this book, follow these words, follow this ascended master, and I feel like the Christ consciousness is not about following the words of Christ, though it can be, but it's also about being, true to yourself. The kingdom of heaven is within, which I always say, and it is. And if everyone has this kingdom of heaven. Everybody, every soul on this planet. Jesus was an ascended master, and we can all be ascended masters. We can all be masters of our own universe. And that does not mean that we're controlling it. That means that we are aware of our energies, we're aware of what is happening to us, and we have the consciousness to decide how we want to react. When it's something that's fear-based, then you are susceptible to getting afraid, and then that fear makes you then comply. So it's about compliance, but if we are in control of who we are and we're deciding, making conscious decisions of what we will and will not do, then it's not about compliance to another entity or another being. It's about being true to who we are, resonating with what our truth is, and understanding what that truth is. Um, I'm on this new app called Wisdom, which is really cool. You should definitely join. It's for mentors and people who are looking for mentors. It's not exactly like Guidely. I'm still on Guidely and I'm going to become very active on Guidely. Wisdom is a cool app because you can record your audio and people can join in for 10 minutes and discuss something with you. Yesterday I was talking about water. Water, uh, water has memory. I watched Frozen with my daughter, and I have studied this a bit. I remember a Japanese author wrote about how tears have memory, and actually did some analysis of the tears, like in a lab, and saw some information and shared that as well as snowflakes. Snowflakes are all very unique. Each and every snowflake is different. We might draw something like a snowflake, but every single snowflake has different crystalline structures and actually reminds me of the crystalline grid. Like the more that we connect to our own center into the divine union, that's how we connect into the crystalline grid. So how do we get to the crystalline grid if we're still faced with a lot of fear? Well, if that's a question that you have, it's a good question. If you have more questions, definitely let me know so I can address them in my podcast or on Wisdom. Or in a healing, like whatever you are feeling you need, definitely tell me so I can help you and help the collective. And if you need individual support, I'm more than happy to assist you. I have both group and personal mentoring as well as single sessions in quantum healing. So please take a look at my website at gilanahemia.com. So what I wanted to share about you know fear is that our fear is based on a variety of different things, which I just mentioned before. How were we brought up as children? Was there any fear in our childhood? There was definitely persecution in previous lives. We've all lived previous lives. It's a fact. We have memory of that in our cells. Again, we're, what, 70 to 90% water. I don't know the exact number. Um, so there's memory in our cells. And given with the theory of water has memory, and if you need to look it up, go ahead. But I feel like, that is it's a true statement. Olaf said it in Frozen, and these things in movies are they don't just make these things up. They definitely look them up, and there's truth, and I feel like that was something actually somebody said in Wisdom yesterday. Someone asked me, "How do you know this?" And I said, "I actually did read it, though I was sharing with someone later. Like we don't need to." Um, we can, but we don't have to verify our sources. Just by sharing something that we believe is the truth. We can explain why we think that way, but it's like, when I used to write a lot of literary papers, you always have to show proof of your theory by giving examples in the story, just like very similar to scientific hypotheses. And because you need to prove to the reader why they need to believe your statement. But I feel like we're not living in that world anymore. Or, many of us might still be living in that world, but, to really believe ourselves, we don't have to prove to ourselves, oh, this is the truth. We have to believe ourselves. Even in that movie, like Anna says to Elsa, I believe in you. But the truth was, Elsa needed to believe in herself. And I feel like it's true for ourselves as well. We need to believe in ourselves. We have magical powers and we can exercise them at any time. Though if we have doubt, that cripples our powers. And so what fear does, it creates more doubt. And when there's doubt, the structure begins to fall. But when there isn't doubt, when there's trust and there's surrender, and then there's belief and faith, the structure becomes really strong. The foundations are strong. And the foundation is you. We don't have to build a house around ourselves. We don't have to build an idol. We don't have to build anything to prove it to ourselves. We have to, utilize our practice. We have to utilize whatever we feel is important to us to continue to build that foundation of strength within ourselves. And that does not mean we're alone. Don't think of this as a solitary journey, though some of it is, but it's something where we work on ourselves and we work on the collective together. It's again that feeling of interdependence. So, what do I do to not give in to fear? Is, as I shared yesterday, I don't listen to news. I have a daily practice. I spend a lot of time, before I start to connect with social media or even at work, an hour or two in the morning to, do yoga, do meditation, connect with my dog, prepare my kids for school, all those things takes me about an hour or two before I even get in my car and go to work or open my computer to start work. And so I feel like that practice is really important. It's taken me a long time to be consistent with that practice. And I want to share that with you because I have had a lot of stops and starts, especially in the wintertime when it's cold. I'm very resistant to like getting up in the morning, doing yoga, even though it's really good because it makes me feel warm. Though I just, didn't want to get out of bed. It was cold and I didn't feel like doing something when I was cold. Though I feel like now that I've been doing this for a few months, and I used to do it, when I was in those kind of environments, like when I'm in an ashram or when I was when I was at camp when I was young, like when I'm in that environment, it's natural, right? That's what everybody does. But when not everyone is doing it, and I have to take myself to a class, and it's still like stop and start. Unless even if I do it weekly, it's not the same thing as doing it daily. And even if it's 5 minutes, I don't spend that much time. Um, Everything takes time, but I don't spend that much time just on yoga. I do some stretching for like about 15 to 20 minutes, including the yoga. Then I do the meditation and I do a little bit of chanting and, and I obviously take care of my dog. I spend some time because I feel like it's important. It's something that I actually had an intention about for a long time, as I shared. And I feel like now I'm doing it. And as I shared in my group program, there's a lot of things I had intentions for years ago, like 10 years ago, I wanted to be a freelancer. I thought, oh, being a freelancer, that would be so cool. Like I could apportion my time the way I want to. I can be wherever I want. I could still do my work. And I still believe freelancing is cool. You just have to know what you're doing business wise, and be able to, to balance your life. And I think that that's definitely a viable option for many. And there may be things that can be, um, different things that may or may not help you to do that. But I feel like, and I've even talked to some people in the States, and they're like, oh, yeah, I want to do freelancing. I mean, it's becoming more and more prevalent because of COVID. And I feel like that's what it was, right? I needed, the timing wasn't right. I wanted to do it, and I felt like there was a block. And I was like, why is there a block? I have everything I need. I have the skills. I have, there are some opportunities. And I used to read about it all the time, but I wasn't able to connect to that space until now. Um, so I feel that sometimes, we aren't ready or the timing isn't right for whatever reason. And there's nothing to do with the fact that your desires are not going to be met. It is going to be met. It will be met. Though we need to be patient and we need to continue to believe that it's going to happen. And I feel like that's where fear comes in. It's not happening now, I give up. And the truth is, you can go a different direction. Definitely, if you feel like you need something right now, you need a job and it's not happening, go get whatever you need to make sure that you have food on the table, you can pay the rent, things that you need to do in this physical world. Yet at the same time, know that it's going to be happening for you. Believe that it's going to be happening for you. Honestly, when we believe, when I was traveling, I didn't have a lot of money, and I would do a lot of videos in Facebook and meet a lot of people and, get on a lot of calls. Even while I was traveling, I was getting clients, and I believed that it was going to happen. It was definitely challenging and it wasn't easy. Internet was spotty. But I still, we still made it happen. There were definitely challenges. I will definitely share that, though I feel that at that point in my life, I still had more fear. I was afraid I wouldn't have enough money. I was afraid, what is going to happen? I'm with the children. I'm in a foreign country. There was a lot of fear. I didn't know how to navigate this whole way of being. I used to work for many, many years, and I had stability, and I felt very unstable. And so when I returned and, when I started to get things together and I still was working on my business, I changed some things, to create more stability because that's what I needed. That's what I needed to feel secure. And so I feel like it's also really important to figure out what is it that you need and how can you fulfill that, or work with the universe, work with your angels to help you to fulfill those needs and still move into your vision. I think it's super important and never to give anything up. I feel like we have skills and talents and we can utilize them. And even if we completely change our path, we're still utilizing that knowledge in whatever, in anything else we do. And so and to not allow anyone, like, I remember I used to think to myself when I first got into this country. I live in Israel. I'm from New York, and I didn't speak Hebrew all that well, and I felt really uncomfortable, applying for positions where I thought I might have to speak Hebrew. It's just like, well, how am I going to do that? And I was, even though I was learning and I studied and I was going to more classes and really focusing on it, it was still challenging for me. But I feel like now I'm in this place where, I know what I'm worth, I know what I can do, and I'm able to share that with other people. And so I have no fear, and even if something I'm working on doesn't mean that I need to undercut myself. And I feel like there's a level, fear plays into that as well. It's still the sense of worthiness. Like, I know better than you. You don't have that kind of information. And maybe we don't have all the information, but we have feelings, we have intuitive guidance, we know things. And we need to decide for ourselves whether it's something that we need to pursue or we don't need to pursue. Even if you enjoy reading the news and you can be objective, which I feel like I can't, so I don't even deal with it. Um, you might want to continue, though. Be aware to always check in with yourself. And there are, for many people that I speak with, my clients, friends, it's important to. Sometimes this information can be debilitating. Like, oh my God, these people are once you get all of these statistics, you're just like, whoa, like, how can I even be living? These people are in jeopardy. I need to help them. So my answer to that is, we need to help ourselves. And by helping ourselves, we in turn help others. It's just, that's just the way it works. Like, A equals B and B equals C, therefore A equals C. So therefore, if we help ourselves, we can help another. And by helping another, we can then, by helping ourselves, we can then help another and then another. Like, that's just the way it works. We work in tandem together and there's a ripple effect all the time. So, just some tips on how to deal with fear is one, reduce the time, obviously, that you're spending on things that make you feel fearful. Um, Distance yourself from people and situations that make you feel fearful. And then also understand what is the fear. Really, like, take some time to do some inner work or connect with me to decide how you can work with that fear and how we can release that fear. I have a number of different programs. As I mentioned, I have my group program and my one-on-one mentoring and the quantum healing that I do to really help people to understand what is the fear, how do I release this fear, where does the fear come from, and how can I actually just change my perception to believe in myself and to release this fear. It takes a while. It's not something that happens overnight. I did a lot of healing and been through a lot of coaching, and I still have fears. I'm not fear free, but I'm moving towards being fearless because I'm trusting and believing in myself more and having faith that it's all working out, especially in money as well. People are get worried about money, like, oh, I don't have enough money, and what's going to happen, and or I have this job, or I'm not working, or whatever your situation is. And I think that as my clients have said as well, like, when we are just like in this space of trust, like, everything's going to be taken care of. It may feel difficult right now, even just saying, thank you for the challenge. Thank you for this pain. Thank you for this feeling of uncertainty. because being in gratitude is so, so important, as part of my practice of releasing fear is being in gratitude, being in gratitude for this feeling of fear. Thank you for showing me this fear because it's showing me that there's something I need to heal. And I feel it's really important because that's how we can step into unity. Going back to the original theme of unity, we step into unity by releasing our fears. We step into unity by accepting all of ourselves. We step into unity by seeing our woundedness, by seeing places where we've been hurt, and we have quote unquote not believed in ourselves to step out of situations and to be compassionate. So, understanding that that's been our journey and we're still moving towards our highest journey and we're still trusting in the forces that be and we're trusting in our own psychic gifts. And I also share that I'll share more next time is something that I believe somebody was playing in my house, like I'm not afraid of you, I'm afraid of myself, of how I could react to that situation. And I want to share that because I think that there is a level of fear that's also playing into being afraid of our own power. There's always a flip side to everything, right? It's not just a fear of, oh, what they're going to do. Oh, if I don't get that shot, I can't go to work, whatever that storyline is. But it's also, what if I step into this situation with all of my power? How is that going to land? And that is a super interesting question because if you really do step in and if you really are in your full force, you know, you become unstoppable. You are limitless. You can have whatever you desire. You are powerful. And I feel like when we can see that, that was a mic, excuse me. When we can see that, we then can shift the whole paradigm. But to get to that place, we have to release this hold of this energy that's on us, which is why I started with the moon, because I had to release the energy of the moon in order to get deeper into my own energy. And that is an important part of my journey at this moment, and why I wanted to share this with you because it does also play into fear and it plays into forces that are um, guiding you. And there are still energetic forces that are guiding me, but I get to decide how I want to work with that energy. I'm also conscious of that. I'm also aware of that. And you too can be aware of all of who you are and how these energies are playing out. And I can help you with this. And there are others that can too. So if I'm resonating with you, definitely connect with me at gilanahemi.com, schedule a 15-minute discovery call, and let's see where it leads. I feel like unless we take the action that we are feeling at the moment, we're not going to know. And there's also that fear of the unknown. But once we do it, it becomes less scary. So I hope this resonated with you. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this. I'm looking forward to your comments, and I'm wishing you a beautiful, beautiful day. And I'm inviting you to step out of fear and into your own power, however that feels good to you. I'm going to just close this circle by taking 3 deep breaths with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this amazing transmission, for stepping into the path of divine unity, for following our own wisdom, for following our own hearts and our connection to the infinite oneness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Aho, and so it is. Namaste, Om Shanti Shalom. Thank you, thank you, thank you, those of you who are listening. And again, you can send me an email at gila@gilanahami.com. You can go to my website and schedule a 15-minute discovery call. I'd be happy to connect with you, and it's free of cost. There's nothing that you have to do besides just show up on the Zoom call. You'll get a Zoom link, you'll choose your date and time, and we'll chat and we'll see what's next. And I also look forward to seeing you on Guidely and Wisdom. And there's going to be some more information on the live retreat I'm going to be doing with Radha, and I'm going to be doing some live events in Guidely. So please stay tuned. Can continue to follow me, subscribe so you get notified of the next one. And I just want to say thank you for being you. I feel so blessed to be connecting with you. Aho, and so it is.